Welcome once again to Classic Credits. I was taking a break from movie games for a while, but this one was requested by a viewer. I was going to do it at some point, so why not now? A game based on Star Wars Episode 5 for Classic Credits Episode 5. No arcade gamer in the 80s is not aware of the awesomeness of the Star Wars arcade game, which was developed in 1983 by Atari. It came in two types of cabinets, a stand-up and a sit-down cockpit style. It has a great flight yoke style controller that still feels like the only real way to play that game properly. Most people don't know that there is a sequel released to Star Wars in 1985, The Empire Strikes Back. But wait, wasn't there a sequel in 1984? Yes, the games were released out of order in relation to the movies. Return of the Jedi, which played completely different to Star Wars, came out in 1984. Empire Strikes Back is a fairly rare title. Reportedly, there were only around 60 to 70 dedicated cabinets created. Instead, it was released as what is called a conversion kit. In the arcades, it was often a standard practice to reuse arcade hardware. They would simply give you replacement cabinet graphics and a few chips to swap out inside the machine. Voila! New game. This was great if the game was waning in popularity. The arcade owners could upgrade to the new games much cheaper this way. However, Star Wars was still very popular in 1985. It was still making arcades good money, so many opted not to buy the conversion kits and just keep the quarters pumping into Star Wars. It has a similar playstyle to the original, in all its vector graphics glory.
There's a meteorite hit the ground near you.
You start out as Luke on Hoth, blasting Imperial probe droids in your speeder.
Droid of some kind.
The Imperials then begin their ground assault,
We have spotted Imperial walkers.
and you find yourself trying to bring down AT-AT walkers, as well as the smaller AT-STs. This level gives you two modes of fire. You can take down walkers by shooting their cockpits, which are little red blocks on their heads. You also have tow cables that can be fired to trip up the AT-ATs.
The Force is with you.
Once you reach the Rebel base, it is off into space as Han Solo on the Millennium Falcon.
Between ourselves, I think Master Luke is in considerable danger. Prepare to reach the light speed. I want that ship, not excuses.
You first find yourself blasting TIE fighters, who are very aggressive even on the first wave. After you survive the TIE fighters, you flee Vader's Star Destroyer, the Executor, into an asteroid field.
Asteroid do not concern me, Admiral.
Your only goal here is to not get hit. No firing necessary. Empire Strikes Back was a technical improvement over the previous game, but the game just didn't feel as good. It is still a great game, but what I mean are things like the levels. In Empire, the levels just get subsequently harder, but in that sort of an artificial sense, by just speeding everything up. In Star Wars, it didn't give you access to all the levels right away, and the levels would get additional challenges the first few times that you played through them. You felt that there was some sort of progression to it.
One is strong.
Also, there was no moment like this. Which always felt very rewarding. Empire Strikes Back also had an impressive amount of digitized speech. They used samples straight out of the movies to try and bring players into the game's Star Wars experience.
The Force is with you. General, prepare your troops for a surface attack. We have spotted Imperial walkers.
This game may be hard for you to track down due to its rarity. It had very few cabinets, and the conversion kits didn't sell very well either. But the conversion kits are not that hard to come by if you can find a working Star Wars machine and you feel like converting it yourself. There's even a dual mode conversion kit that lets you switch back and forth between both games. Why didn't they think of that in 1985? Maybe they would have sold more conversion kits. There's only one home version of this game that I know of. It was an unlockable extra in Factor 5's Rogue Squadron 3 Rebel Strike in 2003 for the Nintendo GameCube. If you have a Wii and you're feeling game starved, I highly recommend picking that game up. Just of note, Star Wars and Return of the Jedi arcade games are also included bonuses with Rogue Squadron. I feel that Empire Strikes Back is a classic even though it doesn't live up to its predecessor. Star Wars just set that bar so high that they just couldn't quite get the sequel to feel as fresh and new as the original. Thank you once again for tuning in to Classic Credits. If you like the show, please make sure to leave some comments, subscribe, and make sure to check out the next episode, where I once again hope to show you some games that you may have forgotten or never even heard about.